NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, with support services designed to help seniors age in place, including a Compass Memory Support Neighborhood. More at armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, homegrown in Hatfield, Massachusetts, and providing energy savings for their customers for over 10 years. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, the Wine Thunderdome will descend upon State Street in Northampton, where we'll taste wines from the Canary Islands.
Colonialism brought wine to a lot of places, we should know. And it may be Friday the 13th, but it's Live Music Friday, and we'll get to hear from a guitarist who so badly wanted to play Bach's lute music on an instrument that was not the lute that he created his own style of guitar.
Peter Blanchette will bring his innovative 11-string archguitar work and accompany Irish singer Éilís Kennedy at Bombyx next weekend, and they'll play for us later this hour.
And we'll begin with music, which makes it a music sandwich, eh?
I guess so. Or is it a wine sandwich because the wine is in the middle of the music?
Oh, it's what? Okay. Yeah, no, both work.
Okay.
Kids for Harmony that's a terrible segue. I did that. These are my choices. Kids for Harmony is an after-school music program offered in both Pittsfield and North Adams schools. This program aims to create social change through music.
Students receive instruments and instruction at no cost, removing the barriers to opportunities. Kids for Harmony is a program of 18 Degrees Family Services, and we're joined by the president and CEO of 18 Degrees, Stephanie Steed.
Stephanie is a native of Springfield. She has over 3 decades of experience serving children, young people, and families. Her work has spanned residential and community settings, supporting children, young adults, and families in both North Carolina and Massachusetts.
She serves on the board of the Children's League of Massachusetts and the Providers Council. She's been with 18 Degrees since 2005 in various roles and is now leading the organization. She's going to play for us on Live Music Friday. Oh, no.
There's a shaking of heads.
That's not going to happen.
It's okay. It's fine.
It is a wine sandwich with music bread, but we won't make you perform because we're going to talk about Kids for Harmony.
Although we have to say you're the second person we've talked to this week with North Carolina connections. Where in North Carolina were you working?
I was working in Greensboro and in Winston-Salem.
Okay. That's where I used to live and have a lot of family.
Yeah, I went to school down there, so it's a great place.
At A&M?
No, Guilford College.
Oh, Guilford. Nice. Mm-hmm. Right on.
But here in Western Massachusetts and in Springfield, mostly your work is in the Berkshires, really, but you do have some things that happen outside of the Berkshires as well.
Exactly. So 18 Degrees is a social service agency, and we provide support and services to people who need a variety of help and supports, advice, interventions throughout Western Mass.
Tell us where the name 18 Degrees comes from.
Wow, we rebranded about 6 years ago, and we decided that our former name wasn't really as inclusive as we needed it to be. We were formerly Berkshire Children and Families, and we no longer did work just in the Berkshires, and our work was beyond that of children and families. Mm-hmm. And 18 Degrees just resonates because 18 degrees is the pitch of the sun on a new horizon. So it's a new dawn and a new day. And we thought it was a great way to introduce our work and ourselves to participants, saying whatever you need on a new day, we're here for you, here to start it off.
I'm glad it's not that you only do work when it's wicked cold out.
No.
Also, it's rare that it gets that cold.
I know. Could be.
What spurred the branching out across the mountains?
For us to do work here, it was from the Berkshires to the Valley, and we decided that some of the services we offered, specifically our foster care and adoption, it originated in the Berkshires, and the focus was to keep children in their communities, in their school systems, and nearby their social network. And we thought, why shouldn't we do that here in the Valley? So we reached out and we opened a number of foster homes in the area to do that for children in this area who needed foster care.
And our intrepid director, Tony Dunn, got us your 2023 annual report. And some of the numbers in that are really heartwarming. I might even get emotional trying to say it out loud. But I mean, there was 46 kids that you were working with in foster care. But over just last year, 7 kids were adopted. And I just love that.
That's incredible. And it is our focus. We understand that foster care is a place where we can help children as long as they need our help. We help them to a place of permanency, and oftentimes when it's necessary, their permanent home is the foster home that we've established with them.
When kids are adopted, do they still interact with your program too? Like, they've built some community there, so. At
times we have a variety of services. So for lots of our adoptive parents, their adoption, their legal adoption is open. So they still have connections with their birth parents. So at times we facilitate those connections for them.
One of the things that we're specifically wanted to talk to you about today is the program that's part of 18 Degrees Kids for Harmony. This is using the method called El Sistema. Is that true? Where people, it's been revolutionary across this country and beyond.
Exactly. Yeah. It started in Venezuela, and we had some connections. And in fact, some of our teaching artists were young students in Venezuela who were very familiar with El Sistema. So there is some real truth to the practice in our Kids for Harmony program. But how we are different than others is that we take it beyond music. It is a social service intervention for us. We are the only agency that is a social service agency, not just a music program that incorporates El Sistema in its work. So we're able to give some musicality to kids, but we're also able to support their families. As you know, getting kids to music lessons isn't easy. Keeping them interested isn't easy. Doing homework, managing families, all those things that families might need a little bit of help with, we're there to offer.
If people aren't familiar with El Sistema, tell us what makes it different than just regular music lessons.
Well, for us, we offer it for free. So part of the social service that we are able to do is offer the music lesson at no cost for our participants. And that was part of the crux of El Sistema, is that it is an opportunity for young students to be exposed to classical music when they wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Mm-hmm. And that includes the instruments too, like, which can be of high cost.
Correct. So we start the program with second and third graders, and many of our students have graduated high schools. So with each growth spurt, they get a new instrument that fits them and helps them in developing their musical skills.
When they get really big, they get an 11-string archguitar like Peter Blanchette will be bringing to the studio a little bit later.
Although we encourage them to build their own instruments, too, if they would like to build their own instruments for whatever artistic project that they're interested in. Has the core of the ideas behind El Sistema influenced the other programs that 18 Degrees offers across the Berkshires and into Hampden County?
Well, I think what we do is really to make sure that our programs have some overlap, that our participants know that there's no wrong door for service. So if you come in and you receive music lessons through Kids for Harmony, maybe you might want to participate in a group at our Family Resource Center. If you're a student at one of the schools where it's offered, you might have access to other programs. So we try to overlap and intertwine our work so that, again, folks feel like they don't have to just do one thing when they come to 18 Degrees.
We're speaking with Springfield's Stephanie Steed, I couldn't resist the alliteration, who's the president and CEO of 18 Degrees, which is a family service organization that runs the program Kids for Harmony. Currently in just Pittsfield and North Adams?
Yes, Kids for Harmony is just in Pittsfield and North Adams. We found that those were two of the underperforming school areas, and we wanted to focus our attentions there.
I have your report from last year still open on my laptop here. I don't know if you know the numbers offhand about how many people have interacted with this, how many students, but that's also there's some really tremendous statistics that have come out of that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we started the program 12 years now, and in the last year, actually at our last gala, we had about 67 students and their families participate and perform at Tanglewood, which is like the cherry on the sundae on the cake for any performer,
It's
let
unbelievable.
alone a fifth grader who's, learning the viola.
Right.
So having that opportunity is really great. And it really is for the number of children. We understand that some students might sign up when they're really young and fade out and come back. So we try to keep the door open, and we let our students and their families know once you're a Kids for Harmony student, you're a student of 18 Degrees, and we welcome you at any point in time.
And if you missed that gala performance, they're going to be at Shakespeare and Company in October performing with Grace Kelly.
Correct. And that, again, is another one of those cherries. With a lot of our partnerships and our advisory members, we have some great collaborations. So just beyond Tanglewood, as I mentioned, we had opportunities to perform at Shakespeare and Company. And Grace Kelly has a tremendous career, and introducing her, especially her at such a young age, to some of our young performers is inspirational.
Has the group Kids for Harmony been able to perform with, well, clearly they've been able to perform with like other notable figures in music, but could you give us a couple of examples? I mean, Grace Kelly's already awesome, and they've already been at Tanglewood, so it's hard to like raise that bar further than that. But
well, this last gala performance, they were with BSO cellist Owen Young, and historically they have been accompanied by Emmanuel Axe, who is well-renowned in the classical music genre. So it's very cool to have our young students have such a familiarity with him, and he have such a comfort in introducing the music. He's Manny to them, and, Emmanuel Axe to everyone else in the world who really appreciates his musicality. But
one of the standout things about El Sistema and programs like this that derive from it is about how much being in these type of music programs can improve other aspects of your education as well. According to that report, 90% of the students that have participated in Kids for Harmony through 18 Degrees report improved leadership and collaborative problem-solving skills. 82% report that they see themselves as positive role models. So these are music, we know, and arts, it often gets left out so frequently, but it creates well-rounded human beings writ large. It's not just so much filling in the dots on a math test to see how much value you bring to the world. It's you're becoming a whole human.
Yeah, but music especially, because it's math.
It is math.
Like, it's language arts. It's like, and it's teamwork.
It's teamwork, and that's something we really capitalize on. We do a lot of mentoring, where our young students, once they have a skill set, they're set up with someone who's new to the program to teach them how to hold the instruments. Luckily, as some of our students have matured and matriculated through schools, we've been able to hire them. So not only giving them some skill set in schools, but really preparing them for the workforce, helping them fill out a resume, giving them a job history.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And people have been recognizing it. Last month, there was a Youth Recognition Day that honored 10 of the young people in your program for the achievements that they've accomplished through all this in Pittsfield, right?
Correct. So, again, we want to do whatever we can upstream, is what we like to say, to help young people feel as established and confident in their skills as soon as possible. So in whatever way we can celebrate them, we're glad to.
And if people are more curious on this side of the mountains, there's going to be a fair that allows people to have more information about it on September 17th at Westfield State University, correct?
Well, that is actually a collaboration of human service providers. We're one of 5 social service agencies, part of the Providers Council, that are going to rally to really recognize the workforce of this sector. It's hard work, and it's not always celebrated. So we're glad to have a platform with some of our senators and representatives to really acknowledge the work that happens, really appreciate the value of the work, and also make sure that our community, our representatives, and our policymakers understand that things could stop without us, and we want to make sure policies support the work that we do.
What is the effect of community that you've seen in your work with 18 Degrees? Like, community is a powerful tool and resource, and especially for children in foster care system who often don't have that. Like, what are some of the effects beyond what ends up being on your annual report? Because those are important numbers, but like, you're like heading this organization and seeing these kids and seeing their new families, like, what are the effects that you've seen as helming this organization?
Wow. There's many. You know, I've seen, again, people make connections because of us, but they continue outside of us. They don't have to be a part of us once a relationship's established. We work really hard to help families, help children, help our participants know that relationships don't have to start and stop with moving. And that happens a lot in foster care systems. It happens a lot with some of our young adults, right? They move from community to community. So we really just try to be a place where they can connect, like that landing strip, where if they need to reset and refocus, that they can look to us as a beacon, as, you know, the dawn of the new day there, right there, and that we can support them to build networks outside of systems and outside of programs. That's the community that's really most important to us. We recognize the workforce that happens is really great, it's influential, it's important, but what's more important is those social connections that people have. That's what drives you day to day. That's what keeps you going.
We're at the very beginning of a new school year. If you're in the North Adams area or the Pittsfield area and you're listening to this and you have a child that you know of that would be perfect for this, is it too late to get involved with this year's Kids for Harmony through 18 Degrees? President and CEO of 18 Degrees, Stephanie Steed?
It is not too late. We often think it's too late until we're posed with someone asking us, and then it's not too late, and we find a way. So I wouldn't let anything deter anyone's interest for approaching our school systems for that program or for any of our other programs. It's not too late.
Even if they're asking for like way out of orbit instruments, like they're just going to play English horn, or they're only
or
want to play
archguitar
or timpanis.
We
I love timpani.
We are primarily a string-based orchestra.
Timpani's out.
So those things are out. We do violin, viola, lots of cellists now.
Yep.
Those are
There's always room for cello.
On. Right. I think because it's so heavy, you don't get too many. So when we find them, we really appreciate them.
Right on.
Stephanie Steed, who is the president and CEO of 18 Degrees, based in the Berkshires, but you from right here in Springfield. It's an inspirational organization doing inspirational things with Kids for Harmony. And you can catch them at Shakespeare and Company in October playing with Grace Kelly, who we're listening to right now.
Or, go say hi at the Caring Force rally that they're going to be a part of on September 17th at Westfield State University. Later in the show, more with music as Peter Blanchette and his archguitar as Éilís Kennedy and her dulcet Irish tones will join us in studio for Live Music Friday.
But up next, we'll taste wine from a wine region that we didn't even know was a wine region, the Canary Islands, at a store that is more than a wine store, State Street Fruit Store in Northampton.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, with support services designed to help seniors age in place, including a Compass Memory Support Neighborhood. More at armbrookvillage.com.
Next week on the Thunderdome, Menage a Trois Red Blend versus Apothic Red Blend.
We should do that. Oh. What's the best, worst wine?
In the Wine Bunker, deep below State Street Fruit Store, Deli Wines and Spirits, the birthplace
of the Wine Thunderdome, an idea created by none other than the Wine Sun. And we're also joined by the Yankee Sippa. Somebody's getting married.
Somebody's getting married.
We had to get this in because I'm like, wait a minute. When is Sippa getting married? We need to do this before she's just not available.
Yeah, the Sippa's getting married in 2 weeks.
Wow. Yeah. Should we say nice things about your fiancé?
Yes, because she's wonderful. She's a little tense right now.
No, 2 weeks out before the wedding,
yeah.
the other Brad's tense.
Right, and I've been a world of help. So I bought all the booze. So I have the most important job.
You made me get a full-on... I already had a tuxedo, but I had to get a black tie. Now I'm still on the search for patent leather black shoes. I got time.
Nice.
I got
We're making everyone get dressed up. It's like, think of it as grown-up prom. To all of our vendors, Alex keeps saying, the groom is going to do this. And they're like, wait, aren't you marrying a woman? She's like, So,
Wait, so Alex calls you the groom?
Yeah, because it's just easier. Like, she's like, rather than being like my partner, and she's like, okay, so the groom stands there, and all of a sudden, like, wait, it's the groom. She's like, oh, yeah, it's Elisa. Well, yeah, whatever. It's the same thing. She's going to be standing up there waiting for me, like a groom.
Your laissez-faire attitude towards the planning of this also is very stereotypically grooming.
Yeah, I really wanted to take advantage of that.
But let's get ready, because you already picked all the wine for your wedding. But what are the wines that we're going to be drinking today there, Wine Son?
We are going to be drinking some wines from the great wine-producing region of the Canary Islands, Monty.
The Canary Islands?
It's honeymoon wine.
Nice.
Islas Canarias.
When I meet people that speak Spanish that are from, let's say, Puerto Rico, an insult that people who are from Spain say to damn them with faint praise, I'll be like, oh, are you from the Canary Islands? When they hear their accent, because Spanish people are often like, think they're hot. They're hot stuff. And that everybody else is not.
Their poop doesn't stink, Monty?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a way of their way of trying to be kind to them, saying like, you're certainly not from Spain, but maybe you're from the Canary Islands. No, I'm from Puerto Rico, and you're going to deal with it.
You should tell I'm from Puerto Rico. I don't see any of my S's.
Making their Spanish particularly difficult to understand.
Yeah,
it can be
Puerto
difficult.
Rican Spanish and Cuban Spanish is really challenging.
But see, my Spanish is Cuban.
¿Cómo tú estás?
I love Guatemalan Spanish. Nice and chill.
No. I love Mexican Spanish.
Also pretty chill.
And that was where my practice
because everyone sounds like they're singing. It's really beautiful, especially like on Cozumel and stuff like
written Spanish, because it's the only Spanish I can understand.
What is written in Spanish on this bottle from the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Spain, I guess?
No, it's off the coast of Africa.
Yeah.
Well, so is Spain.
I read a lot about the Canary Islands last night and this morning, and it's a really interesting place.
Yes, colonization does amazing things.
Amazing. Like, it's Africa. Nope, not Africa. But the first thing is like, why did they speak Spanish in the Canary Islands? And it's like, hello, Christopher Columbus. Yeah. And you hit the trade winds from the Canary Islands. It is literally a straight shot to America.
Islas Canarias.
Islas Canarias.
Oh, well, see? I told you, I like written Spanish.
It says La Isla Bonita.
Oh,
no,
my God.
It does, no.
La Isla Bonita.
Also, just the name, Piedra Fluida.
Piedra Fluida.
Fluid stones. As we talk about this wine, that will make more sense to everyone.
Oh, okay. What are the grapes that they're growing in the Canary Islands?
Well, I'm not sure what the other grapes might be, but this one here is Listrac Blanco.
No, Listan.
Listan.
Blanco and Listan Negro.
Listrac is a region.
Yeah, that's a region. You and your Bordeaux.
I was like, it sounds vaguely familiar.
Somewhere else.
Some French people got lost in the Canary.
Taking the lead on this one, Mike.
Yeah.
If you
Since you've abandoned your own wedding, you might as well take a lead on this wine tasting.
Oh my God, I'm toast. Let's talk a little bit about Islas Canarias. It is not named after canaries, first of all. It's named after the Latin term, it has to do with dogs.
Oh, good, because I hear this pairs really well with dogs.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
Who doesn't like a good barbecue poodle?
I mean, the people of Springfield, I've heard, love it.
Don't look at me when you say that.
It's not that Springfield.
Canaria Insulae, and I don't know how that's pronounced because no one speaks Latin anymore, so who cares? But it really means island of dogs.
The Isle of Dogs. You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Even Pliny the Elder referenced the amount of dogs on this island. They think it originally came from sea dogs, it's also known, or sea cows, known as seals. Yes, but I will say, any parents out there, make your kids take Latin because you will be able to understand any single word. You can guess words by just knowing the prefix and the suffix of something, and it's so helpful.
Which is why the wine son likes to see the written word.
That's
Because
right,
what was
because,
your major?
Latin.
I thought it was something more broad.
Wait, Latin, not classics?
It was classics with a concentration in Latin.
As opposed to Greek.
As opposed to civics.
Oh,
so,
really?
I had a concentration in Latin and ancient Greek, and I took some Sanskrit, and I took some Etruscan.
Wow.
Fun.
It was fun.
And that way it was all written, and you didn't have to worry about pronouncing anything.
Nobody spoke it, not even in college. Excellent. Now the high school kids all speak it.
They do?
On the school
Yes.
bus.
My daughter's taking Latin.
Nice.
It's
At Northampton?
Yes, and it's taught just like French and Spanish now.
But are they putting on theater performances of Winnie the Pooh, like our Latin classes had to do?
Vobis ostentare paratus, vinne ille poo.
I always remember translating current, I'll date myself for my high school years. REM was really big at the time, and we translated the song stand into Latin.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah.
Sing it.
State in ubies veritatum est.
That is amazing.
Hope you enjoy doing that party trick, because now it's going to have to come out a whole lot more often.
Yeah. All right.
Anyhow, this wine.
Okay, let's talk about this wine. So there are 7 islands in the Canary Islands. This is the largest one, Tenerife. In the middle of this island, there is a massive volcano. It's the 3rd highest volcano, I think, in the world. And it's some of the highest vineyards in Europe and perhaps the world. So we're talking like 1,640 meters, which is pretty high for a vineyard. So remember, we have an active volcano. I mean, active as in it's erupted in the past perhaps 100 years. And it's surrounded by the ocean. So think of all the influence that the ocean and volcanic soil has with this wine. And if you taste it, I mean, first of all, smell it.
It smells super clean, but like riverbed-y. Like if you see it like pristine rivers when you're hiking.
If you look at it, it's got a little yellow tinge to it, you know? Like there's a beautiful gold note through this. You know, you have like salinity.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a lot of salinity. You have some minerality, not Loire Valley minerality. I think it's a little calmer than that. It's very elegant, because sometimes volcanic wines are like, whoa, like it's all rocks, you know. Especially
it's also really hot.
It's also really hot. I get it.
The mountain is going to kill us all.
This glass is melting. You're on an island. You're surrounded by the ocean. You're obviously going to have seafood with this, and this is like, you know, this would be an oyster wine for me.
Surely, you know? Especially if the oyster's got a little sweetness to it to go with this saltiness.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, it has a lot of similarities in my mind to Etna Biancos. So from the island of Sicily.
Yeah, right.
On the slopes of Mount Etna, also an active volcano.
There's a like floweriness that I'm starting to lose that I was initially associating with something like almost like orchid-y, and now is kind of turning into like banana leaf.
Not like elegant quince.
Your
we
word
have
sounds
banana
so pleasant,
leaf.
but your tone sounds derogatory.
I like banana leaf. I like when you cook with banana leaf,
Yeah.
you use it like parchment, and it imparts this really interesting, like slightly sweet vegetal note that is really hard to pinpoint unless you've had something baked in banana leaf. So it's got this neat vegetal note that's clearly tropical that I'm trying to put a better finger on.
The other thing we should remember about when we're talking about these wines, they are organic. Everything is hand harvested, not because they're trying to be cool, but because they have to. The slopes are so steep where these vineyards are. It's literally like classic, like donkey in a basket, getting up the side of this, you know, these volcanoes to do it. So
like Dominic, the Italian Christmas donkey.
Oh,
Hey, chingity ching.
Because somehow Santa's reindeer
don't you dare play that
can't manage the hills of Italy.
I never knew about that song.
Nobody did
until like the past 10, like until like maybe here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that song until just now.
Recently, NPR did a series, the worst songs, like the songs that people hate, and I can't believe I almost called in and said Dominic the Donkey.
Yeah, because you probably get forced to listen to that here in the store a million times during Christmas, right?
No comment.
Look, we can't be talking about Christmas music right now. It is September. We can only talk about Big Star September Girls. Also,
Earth, Wind, and Fire. But that's next week.
These grapes and these vines are also, there's no phylloxera. They were so isolated, these are the original rootstocks.
There was a louse that decimated the European viticulture, only to be rescued by American viticulture.
Who actually were the ones who ruined the viticulture.
In the first place,
in the first place by bringing things over the fact that they shouldn't have.
Okay, the name of the first wine again.
It is Piedra Fluida Blanco, and it is a Listan Blanco is the grape.
From the Canary Islands.
From the Canary Islands.
The second wine in the Thunderdome today is
Piedra Fluida, Listan Negro. Second verse.
That's red, not black. Look at this. This is a little bit darker than what I was expecting.
Ooh.
This is really interesting, the smell in this. This almost smells volcanic.
Things are changing a little bit as I think their processes in the Canary Islands get a little bit more sophisticated. For reds especially, they were really, really into carbonic maceration. So
tell us about that process.
Well, it's a process of the ancient way to do it would be you had a bunch of grapes with native yeast on it. You stick it in a barrel and you just let the weight of the grapes sort of crush the grapes underneath. The native yeast would get involved and your wine is started. Kind of an open tank, and you just sort of let things happen. It's a great way to have the most brightest, fresh, fruit-flavored wines you possibly can. Commonly used in Beaujolais. So, and also, Listan Negro is a very dark-skinned grape, and it shows here in this. And first, I didn't think it was going to be so dark, because it's like this wine is almost opaque. Huge earth note on the nose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It is funky.
I'm getting a distinct cedar note.
Oh yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Thank you. Because I was like, is it menthol? No, it's like this clean note in the middle that I couldn't quite put my finger on. And it's like, it's something minty-ish. I don't know what it is.
When you
Thank
rent
you.
a house while you're skiing and they've got cedar closets.
Yeah, I had cedar closets.
And you're like, the bastards, how did you pay for this?
Yeah. Again, vinified stainless steel. It's then sort of, they call it decanted into massive new French and American oak. So, and then it's the malolactic conversion happens in barrel.
Talk about that process.
So what that process is, beneficial bacteria is added to a wine. That bacteria eats the acid, and that's what the most common thing that everyone's going to know about this is Chardonnay, or perhaps West Coast Chardonnay. It gives it that popcorny, creamy note, one that I actually don't care for very much.
Me either.
But people should know that most red wines go through this process. It cuts down the acid a little bit, so we're probably gonna have, I have not tasted this wine yet, but we're gonna have some influence of that. Like, it's gonna take down the acid, and you're gonna have, since they use new oak, you may get vanilla notes, you're chewing matchsticks, you never know what you're gonna get when you use new oak. There is a bright red fruit note on this nose.
And it stays on the palate. This is fruity.
All right, I'm going in.
Yeah.
You know,
aromatically, this wine is just amazing.
Yeah.
The cedar thing was spot on.
Spot on.
And then the brambly, like, kind of fruit.
There's
almost a molassesy thing too.
I did steal and look at some of people's wine notes, which I try not to do because you always want to form your own opinions. But one person wrote they smell myrtle, and I can see that now. But it's whatever. So here's the thing: every region has their. I mean, Garrigue is something unique to southern France.
Garrigue unique. Garrigue unique.
Yeah, exactly. But this could be the Garrigue of this region. You know,
it's all Garrigue to me.
It's all. Or him, who just only writes it.
Only reading and writing, thank you.
Nobody speaks ancient Greek because it survived.
I want to drink this wine with some lamb. That would be my go-to, like lamb lollipops with a little bit of rosemary on them. I think they would really work with that.
There's also like an incensey thing with the cedar note too. So
that's what I love about this wine.
It's myrrh. Myrrh is the rock part, not the other frankincense.
Yep.
And I have a hard time keeping them apart, but I do know that they smell differently, and this is more myrrh.
Frankincense is actually the name of the doctor.
No.
Not the monster.
No.
It smells a little bit like coal. Like it's almost like a canary in a coal mine.
Right.
You all walked right into that.
It only took him 20 minutes to work back around.
I was like, should I use the canary in the coal mine joke with the white wine? Nope, I'm going to use it with the red, because they're going to think I'm making an actual tasting note.
It's grown on volcano soil, so...
It's time to vote in the Wine Thunderdome, deep below State Street Fruit Store, Deli Wines and Spirits. Anybody ready to vote?
I'll vote first. So I am a adamant white wine drinker. I love my white wines. I drink them all the time. I drink rosé year-round, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm down with this red. This Don Negro gets my vote. It is good.
If we had voted 5 minutes into this segment, I would have voted for the white. And now I've gone back and forth between the wines a couple times, and I got to vote for the red.
Ready to vote?
I am also voting for the red. Like, that bramble note that it caught, that smoky bramble note that it caught, and just sort of like, plus who doesn't want to drink cedar? I might be alone, I don't care.
No, you are not alone, girl.
It's unanimous. Woo-hoo! The red, what is it again from the Canary Islands?
Piedra Fluida Listan Negro.
So has everyone figured out why it's called Piedra Fluida? It's from a volcano.
Yeah.
Flowing
stones.
Yeah.
It's like that old Deep Thought by Jack Handy on Saturday Night Live. If you ever drop your keys into a river of molten lava, forget it. Because, man, they're gone.
The Negro definitely looks like the label is on fire, so that fits.
It's Live Music Friday the 13th, and we have our fingers crossed that everything will go off without incident for our musical guests.
Next Sunday at Bombyx in Florence is an evening with Peter Blanchette featuring Éilís Kennedy and Charlotte Collins. Peter and Éilís will join us to perform next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village, offering research-based arts, music, fitness, and lifelong learning programs at their assisted living and Alzheimer's care community in Westfield. armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, offering co-op advantage checking with cash back on all purchases, plus secure debit card controls, all from the UMass 5 mobile banking app. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Clee Smith. Northampton's Peter Blanchette is known for his innovative 11-string arch guitar work. He has teamed up with acclaimed Irish singer Éilís Kennedy to create a fusion of sound matching Blanchette's unique arch guitar arrangements with Kennedy's traditional Irish unaccompanied songs.
The duo will be joined by local violinist and violist and Bombyx regular Charlotte Collins next Sunday, September 22nd at Bombyx in Florence. Peter Blanchette and Éilís Kennedy join us now. We got a quick tutorial in the Irish language from you, Éilís, into how to correctly pronounce your name. The Irish language website I went to try to enter your name in and play it said Eilish, like Billie Eilish, but no, it's Éilís.
Gotcha. There's so many variations, but Éilís.
Some of the other words that I want to get to after we hear some music have to do with how to say unaccompanied in Irish, as well as the town in West Kerry that you're actually from. But before we get into some Irish language lessons and why Peter Blanchette has a guitar that's almost twice a guitar.
So close to twice a guitar.
Let us hear a song. What are we going to hear, Peter Blanchette?
Well, I can't pronounce the title, so I think you should ask.
What are we going to hear, Éilís?
We're going to hear, I hope, Plúirí na man dánog.
And what does that mean?
That means the flower of the brown-haired young women.
Yeah, I love it.
That one.
Da duk fálum saga kun de ledrum a flúri na mandanog. Da fjern schmel vachs med mar verit a flúri na mandanog. Fjern na long da sjálist mod vi var an down agus sinne filundra. Sníligen sjen vrón vech I dagol a flúri na mandanog. Og ni reim sjelat snig året vem erig durt plúri na mandanog. Mar ni vercht a vera vi ogan vi me a flúri na mandanog. Mile kiet farlam vach ag an far na vesjul na droog des na was och land. Mar nir hoog moch ríis ag ran ag andet dúrt plúri na mandanog. O, de chag mei chwmi ti for an lle, mar rail tom ti an gyo. Is the vi me kaint is the gor o le, gannach an merg park na mo. I mar si is gosh tav on all, good August is greed a fame all life. Na bech carlo nienach si na iken na con, da flúri na mandanog. Da duk falum saga kun de ledrum, a flúri na mandanog. Da verin sjemil vachas med mar verit, a flúri na mandanog. Verin na lung na sjál islamad, ve var langa down agus sinne filundran. Snidligen sein vrom vech I dagol, a flúri na mandanog.
So lovely.
So so pretty.
Éilís Kennedy and Peter Blanchette, who are playing at Bombyx in Florence a week from this Sunday, September 22nd.
And simultaneously mind-boggling, because really, if you can imagine the neck on this guitar, it is massive. And like for anybody who's used to not just seeing, but like playing standard guitar, my wrist aches looking at that thing and imagining how far across I'd need to get my fingers to do most of the work on it. I'm just astounded every time I see you play that anyone really has the flexibility in their arms to make it happen.
Yeah, I understand that, and like most things, like most things like that in life, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
What is the tuning for this thing? I need to know.
All right. It's real different. It's G D A F C G D F C B flat A.
Okay.
And if anybody can ever say that back after I say that,
nope.
I'll give them a free.
Exactly. All the letters of the alphabet.
Which is the way a lute was tuned in the Renaissance. So it's not if you played a D chord shape on a guitar and you moved it down one string, you'd get a chord that you'd like, and that chord is actually a C.
Right.
But I have a C below the guitar, and I have the C up above the first string. I just wanted a guitar with a really big range. And like that piece that we just did, it's sort of like the piano. You don't play all the time down there.
Right.
But when you want it,
it's there.
You want it there.
Right.
So when I do a thing like that note is there, and so it's not as different from the guitars you think. Most guitar players who've ever picked it up and played it have gone, I think I could play this.
Yeah.
After about like an hour. And
then, You figure out where it's.
You'd be playing your songs in about 40 minutes, I bet.
Don't tempt me.
And you developed this guitar yourself with help, but right? But so that you could play lute music without having to play the lute. Why don't you like the lute?
They're hard to come by and they're expensive.
You need a lot of lute to purchase one.
And especially in the 1970s when I was a teenager and discovered, or like 1979. So, yep. And the other reason, honestly, is, lutes have that characteristic look, like they're round in the back and they have ribs, like kind of like sometimes you see mandolins like that. It looks like a big gourd.
Yeah, bazookas too, like similar bodies.
And I did try to play the lute, and I picked that up, and they're round in the back. And, honestly, my whole life I've been somewhat round in the front. And it's like if you imagine in your mind taking two basketballs and touching them together, like they're never really going to get that close to each other. So I always felt like I was holding this thing that was like, and if you notice the paintings of lute players from the Renaissance, if you ever take a look at them, they're always sort of like, they're draped around the instrument in this and they're also all really skinny. So anyway,
we know
that's the academic reason why I don't do it.
The double basketball theory. Peter Blanchette is a known quantity around here, but Éilís Kennedy from Ireland. How did you hook up with this musical ne'er-do-well from Northampton, Massachusetts?
Oh, indeed. Through musical friends, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
American.
Steve Coulter, I guess.
Steve Coulter and Bill Coulter.
Well, this well-travelled gentleman travelled to our great town, and we met there, am I right? A couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever heard you sing was the first day I came to Ireland, and my friend Bill Coulter, who's an amazing guitarist, who they've collaborated and done millions of records. You've done millions.
4, but yeah, you were close.
Yeah. Anyway, and first time I ever visited Ireland, I made it down to Dingle, and my friends were there, and then I pulled into town, and my friend said, "You got to come in. The concert's about to start." And I walked in the place and jet lagged out, sat down, and heard her sing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm almost getting like emotional remembering it. It was so powerful.
So that was
to
like
me.
20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago, yeah. And anyway, so
that's how long I've been an acquaintance of Bill, who is now an acquaintance of yours. So in that roundabout, lovely way that the world works.
Well,
that's how we met.
Let's take a little break so we can all get emotional hearing your voice again with another song.
Totally.
Right after this, we're talking with Peter Blanchette and Éilís Kennedy, who'll be at Bombyx a week from Sunday, the 22nd.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
This is Peter Blanchette playing Italian movie film scores here on the Fabulous 413.
So cool.
Peter Blanchette will be playing on the 22nd at Bombyx in Florence with our other guest in the studio, Éilís Kennedy, and they're going to perform for us another time here on the Fabulous 413 on Live Music Friday.
Okay, what'll we do?
Do you want to tell them about this song, the Catalpa Rescue?
It's about a rescue of 6 Fenians from the prison in Fremantle in Australia. It was a big, adventurous, audacious expedition, and we'd be here a long time to tell the whole story, but I decided to condense it into a song, the whole story of the rescue, and I recorded it a few years ago, so it's on my record, and we seem to like playing it. The air is an old Irish air, and the words are all my own. So it's about the Catalpa Rescue, which happened in 1876. Seems like yesterday.
3 men scour the moorings in the port of New Bedford in search of a whaler for a clandestine cause. In far off Australia their 6 Fenians languished to grant them their freedom from servitude's jaws. A 3-masted bark was the whaler Catalpa, her tidy length out crossed oceans vast. The men went on board for to test out her mettle in planking and rigging, in bowsprit and mast. No whale could compare to the enemy's challenge. Her captain and crew would risk scaffold and more. But Catalpa was coppered, she was manned and was ready for a mission more daring than ever before. A letter was smuggled from Fremantle prison, devoying the New World, read its sanguine plea. Please do not forsake us, your own Fenian brothers. In this living tomb we are friendless indeed. It was late in the spring that they sighted Australia. The whaling was over, but the danger began. Breslin sent word to those prisoners waiting, let no man's heart fail, this will ne'er come again. Each man on the shore played his part with courage. There were 2 waiting wagons, and the plan they knew well. But the British Georgette, she loomed as she lay to, where 12-pounder cannons would doom them to hell. Heave to, shouted Grady, the naval commander. You shall not board us, said Anthony Strong. For this is my whaler and the flag of my country. And there we are bound with all free men aboard. Harrington, Hassett, Dara, and Hogan, Wilson and Cranston completed the crew. From 10 years in chains to the whaler's safe harbor, and 10,000 miles to their freedom.
I thought they weren't going to get rescued by the end of the show. Thank God! We've got 20 seconds left. Peter Blanchette and Éilís Kennedy playing at Bombyx on the 22nd. Thank you so much.
But also, if you want to see the archguitar do the Bach thing, they're doing that at the 1794 Meeting House this Sunday.
Yes. We got Brian Henson on the show on Monday. See you then.